What's going on, Rio Grande City, Texas? This is episode 58, season 4 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throws coaches with the track club, the Thorn Factory. You can go check our bios out at thethornfactory.com. Remind everybody, Coach Kai West at the Thorn Factory is looking to recruit for his club, especially in the javelin area. So if you're looking to, maybe if you're a multi and need some help with javelin, contact Coach Kai. You can contact his information on the website, thornfactory.com. And then Coach Jarvis, East at the Thorn Factory, is also recruiting, getting ready for his indoor season as well. So if you're in the Mesquite, Sunnyvale, Forney, Terrell area, East Texas area, and you want to drive in and get some great coaching, Coach Jarvis is the man in that area. Find his contact information now on thethornfactory.com. We want to thank our sponsors for season 4. Without them, we can't do what we do, so we appreciate them. Leading off, it's Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. That website is ttfca.org. Mr. Stuart Kanner's got a lot of stuff going on right now with the possibilities of an indoor facility coming into the north part of the DFW area. I know there's a lot of meets getting set up. I just heard yesterday that the Texas A&M high school indoor meet is set for the first weekend in January of 2022. So go to ttfc.org and check that out too. And then also we're starting to see a few commitments in the recruiting area, especially in the distance runners and even in the sprint. So you can go to ttfca.org, I'm sorry, Stuart.org, and check out those recruits and check out some meet schedules for 2022. Our favorite implement company, 4throws.com. Go to 4throws.com, use the code TalkingThrows10. TalkingThrows10, that's changed from TalkingThrows20. That's no longer valid, so TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. What's cool now is you will be able to find those Fiber Sports Discus on the site 4throws.com. So go check that out. Then we want to thank Porta-Circle. You can go to porta-circle.com to place your order. Use Talking Throws 10. As we all know, winter's coming, especially up north. It's already here. You can take that Porta-Circle and put it in a basketball gym, on a sidewalk, in a driveway, on some grass, wherever need be, to give you the opportunity to get better and hone your craft in to throw further. Is take advantage of that portacircle.com. Ready Up Athletic Development is our favorite athlete development. It's in the greater Austin area. Contact Zach Phillips at 512-507-8347. I know Zach has got some new equipment down there and is in training everybody from Highland throwers to junior high football players to some soccer girls. And he just does a tremendous job in the greater Austin area. So if you really want some expertise, training, athlete development, go contact Zach Phillips at 512-507-8347. You can go to his website, readyupad.com, or follow him on Instagram or Facebook. And then our new sponsor for season 4, Fiber Sports Discus. Welcome to a new way to get the distance. Fiber Sports Discus is taking the guesswork out of discus selection. It's not about the rim weight anymore. As you can see, we have a brand new carry bag, and this is one of their 2K high rim discs that came out. It's a very cool design, rim control. This is the Low Spin Twister 2 Black Rim 2K. So pretty cool. So if you want to look cool at your next track meet and throw really, really far, go check out fibersportsdiscus.com. Or you can go to 4throws.com and use the code TalkingThrows10 and to order you one right now. They also have 1Ks for your high school athletes, or your elite high school, or your elite national championship contender college throwers as well. So we want to thank them for sponsoring our season 4. So thank y'all so much for that. Remind everybody to be sure that we're on YouTube as well. So go give us a thumbs up on YouTube and please subscribe to that. And I hope you like what we're doing with our new background and all that type of stuff. So keep that up, and we're going to provide more content on our YouTube as well. So today's guest is an amazing athlete. I hope y'all have heard of him, because he is one that definitely needs to be heard of. Is 2009, he was the Nike Indoor National Champion in the shot put with a mark of 71.5 inch. He won his state championship his senior year, competing for Rio Grande City High School with a mark in the shot put of 69.1 3/4 and in the discus of 195.6. He had a high school PR of 72.6 and a quarter. In the high school shot put PR of 72.6 and a quarter. And then in the discus was a 204 feet in the discus. She'll delete all that and fix it. So he had an athletics scholarship to attend Auburn University from 2009 to 2013, where he was a 5 times All-American and multi-time SEC champion in the shot put. In 2012, he represented Mexico in the Olympics in the London Games. In 2014, he hit a PR lifetime best in the shot put of 20 meters, 35. What's cool too is he got into the coaching world. So he's the first person that we've had that actually was a thrower that was also a college coach as well. So in 2014 to 2016, he was a volunteers coach at University of Michigan. In 2017 to 2018, he was the throws coach at University of Louisiana at Monroe. And then from 2019 to 2020, he was the throws coach at Central Michigan University. And currently he is coaching at Reagan High School, where he's coaching track and also cross country. Please welcome to episode 58, season 4 of Talking Throws podcast, Mr. Stephen Saenz. So Janelle will start us off.
All right, Stephen, thanks. So we're so excited to have you on. We start out everybody with the first question. So tell us, how did you start throwing, and where was it at? What grade were you in? All those things.
So I was in 5th grade. I did baseball growing up, and I was really good at it. But my dad said, hey, in the summer, you're not really doing anything. We need to be active, because I didn't want me to get out of shape. And put me in track with running. And I did not care for that very much. And so he's like, why don't you just try the shot put? And I said, okay, yeah. I mean, I just throw a ball. I throw baseball pretty fast. So it's pretty much the same thing in my mind. And so I threw summer track and shot put in 5th grade. And then I kind of fell in love with the sport just because I had a very fast arm at a young age. So I could stand throw pretty far. So I said, hey, this is pretty cool. And then it just took off from there.
Oh, wow. Was your dad your coach initially?
Yeah, he was. He threw in high school. He threw 52 in high school. So he knew kind of the basics of it.
Okay.
I like later on as I progressed, we had to kind of change that and get someone who knew a little more. But yeah, he did great. He was the one who taught me the mechanics of it and how to actually put it instead of just throw it like a baseball. Yeah. Which at the beginning everyone kind of does a little bit, but yeah, he was my coach, my first coach.
So how was it when you got into like the 7th grade? Did you play? You said play baseball, but did you play football when you got into the junior high sports and then do the track in the springtime?
Yes. So 7th grade was the first year I did football. We didn't have Pee Wee football back then. I know now they do, but so 7th grade was my first year doing pretty much everything: basketball, football. I was still in baseball, then I did track. So I was an all sports kind of person. But yeah, no, the shot put actually I didn't like very much. Discus, I found later, was my main event.
Really?
So I threw the shot put in middle school, I think 52 feet, the 4K. Yeah. And the discus, I threw 200 feet.
Seriously?
In 8th grade, I threw the 1K 200 feet, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And so it was like my passion, discus. So.
Wow. Okay, so we got to back up. Tell us about that throw, that throw. You know, what happened? I got to ask too, was it a little wind aided?
Yeah, no. I think my average in middle school was probably like 190s.
Really?
So I would go out and just crush bombs. But now in South Texas, there is wind.
Yeah.
You know, coming off the Gulf. Now, probably without wind, 180s, I would say.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
And then with wind, 200, no 199 in that range.
Yeah. So were you pretty efficient at this time at a young age with rotational discus?
So we saw videos of throwers doing the spin. My dad's like, hey, this is what you need to do. And we found a coach named Coach Larry Howell. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I've heard the name, yes.
He was he was out of Mission Veterans, and I was from Rio Grande City in the Valley.
Uh-huh.
And we went to a camp. He had an All-American throwers camp. And he said, and I was in 7th grade, he said, "You're going to win the state championship when you get to high school." I said, "Okay, well, we'll see. I got to train."
Coach Hal told you this?
Yes. And
Oh, wow.
and so it was pretty cool. So I didn't know at the time, but he became a very good mentor of mine and eventually my coach in high school. My sophomore year of high school, he transferred to Rio Grande City as a teacher and became my coach and trained me up through high school.
Wow.
So
walk our listeners through a little bit of his background and, and how he was, regarded with the throws and stuff.
Yeah. So he's from Ohio originally. And he came out to the Valley. He told me this is his story on a bet. He can get kids from the Valley to win the state championship in the throws. I don't know how true this is, but he told me this. He went down there and had 7 state champions from the Valley. Louis Navarro, David Galvan, those guys are phenomenal. Those all through 200 feet. Shot put 60 low. He just had a bunch of great throwers, and he said I could follow those footsteps if I worked hard and trained hard. And he was a great coach, but he was a phenomenal motivator. He really told me, like, you can do this and maybe actually believe it. Because I was good, but at that point, kids across the country were better. And he told me, you can be the greatest in this country, and I believed him. And so that's kind of how he started me off.
So just backing up a little bit to your freshman year, just to kind of also to give a visual, how big were you when you were a freshman?
I was about, I want to say the same height I am now, around 6'1.5", 6'2".
Okay.
But I was real lean. I was about 185.
Okay.
And for me, that was lean. I was a little pudgy, but I weight trained, bench, squat, cleans. That's pretty much all I did. I mean, it wasn't very scientific what I was doing.
Gotcha.
Go in there and try to max out all the time.
Gotcha. Now your freshman year, two-part questions. First, did you play football going into high school your freshman year?
I did. So I played until my 6th game. I was a tight end and a middle linebacker and a kicker. I played all the positions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we would at a quarter or a tight end around, and I got the ball and ran about 30 yards. And this kid tackled me the wrong way. He hit me on my leg and rolled, and so shattered my ankle.
Oh, no.
So I was out for about 6 months, and then before I could throw again or compete.
Was your freshman year?
My freshman year.
Oh,
but
wow.
I still ended up throwing 52 feet that year and 147 in the disc.
Wow. And that was going to be my follow-up question. You threw over 200 feet with that 1K. For you, how was the adjustment to the 1.6 and moving up in the heavier shot put?
Well, it's funny. I was when I was in middle school, I would go to the high school meets and try to watch the guys throw. Now I found out that I was better already with the 1.6 than a lot of them in high school.
Really?
So because the Valley at the time wasn't a lot of good throwers at that time, and so I would go shag for them. I get the discus and I would back up about 30 feet, and I would throw it back to the ring, and it would hit right in front of the ring. And it was kind of, I guess thinking about it, was kind of mean, and I was like showing off a little bit.
You were showing them up.
No, but I wanted to train and see them and see, okay, which are the better throwers? What am I going to be facing when I get to high school? But no, it was a pretty big adjustment. That 1.6 is a lot bigger, and I had to adjust my grip. I had all 5 grip, and then I went to a 3-finger one, so a little more stability. But I would have done better if I hadn't gotten hurt. But it all worked out in the end. But still.
Yeah, of course. Now, were you pretty efficient? Helping with coaches' help, technical wise and stuff at that early age. Were you glide, shot put, or rotational?
I was rotational in middle school. Now my rotation was really bad, but my coach told me, he said, if you want to be great in this sport, you have to do the rotation. You're too short and my frame was a little smaller. He's like, you have to. I was very fast. I was a very explosive athlete. So he said, the spin's going to make you great. So I just said, okay, forget the glide. I'm going to go full spin, and whatever happens, happens. And I stuck with that.
Wow.
And now you started that your 7th grade year, or when you were a freshman?
My 8th grade year, I started spinning. Now, again, I was diving out the back. I was doing a lot of bad things, but it worked out. Yeah.
Now,
awesome.
Now, when you were doing all your other sports and stuff, were you training and throwing year round? I know you did summer track, but was that on Sundays after football games? Were you, throwing on Sunday afternoons?
Yes, I would throw, not every day, but I would try to keep it in the rotation because I knew I wasn't going to go to college for football. I was too short for what college looking for tight ends.
Yeah.
And I was not the fastest athlete. I was quick, but my top end speed wasn't the greatest. So my dad said, okay, football is awesome, but I think track's where you can really excel. And I agreed with him and said, we still played all the sports except track was my main focus.
Gotcha.
Well, but was your dad an athlete? Because it sounds like he was very knowledgeable and had
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot to, like fed into you and poured into you a lot. So what was his athletic background?
No, he was a football. I believe he played basketball and track in high school. He didn't do anything after high school. But actually, I lied. He was a walk-on kicker at SFA. I think he quit after a couple of weeks just because of the athlete college life is a little tough.
Yeah.
But then my uncle, his brother, was offensive lineman for SFA,
Okay.
so he
Awesome.
was pretty good.
Awesome. So when did you start realizing that and I know you think you were pretty good because you were already better than your competition in the Valley, but you had to start realizing, okay, how do I compete and compare against people at the state level in the state of Texas? Was that sophomore year?
I think my sophomore year was when I said, when I started throwing further, I said, okay, now I'm starting to be top in the state. I think I got second place my sophomore year at state. I think 62.
Yeah.
And had guys like Hayden Balio out there, and I would look against those guys, but I also look at around the country. So we had DieStat back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have mouse split. So DieStat, my dad and I would get online every week and say, okay, where are you ranked in the country? And because I would win meets in the Valley. I'm not bragging or anything, but by a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would have to look elsewhere and see what they threw. I can have a mental meet with those guys around the country. Like Jordan Clark was a big one out of Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Finley was a big one. Nick Venna. So those guys, I would say, okay, what they throw this week, and I would try to better them in that week.
Wow. Well, have you always had that internal drive as a youngster to outdo somebody? Was that kind of ingrilled in you because of your father?
I think so. I don't know. My wife even says it. I'm just very driven person as far as wanting to be the best at something. So when I went, even my jobs, I wanted always to improve and succeed and move up in those positions. So throwing was no different. I wanted to be the best in the state. And once I accomplished that, I said, okay, let's start looking towards the country and then, keep on excelling after that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just wired or my dad taught me at a young age, but it's always been, I guess, a part of me. So.
Gotcha. So if I asked your wife right now, if she asked you to go mow the grass, would you be like, I'm going to go mow the grass better than anybody else in my neighborhood?
Put the stripes in it, the stripes and little designs.
Yeah, do the signs. I'm going to wash dishes better than everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I grew up like that. And it's just one of those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
now,
did
you go to Texas Relays your sophomore year? Because you're putting up big marks very young. And I know Shelby Vaughn will be out tomorrow in the first episode, and of course everybody knows the name, but she had trouble being so young and kind of dealing with the pressure of throwing so far and at such an early age. It's different when you throw far your senior year because it's kind of maybe your last hurrah. But when you start hitting big marks your sophomore year and people kind of expect that, it's kind of a different approach sometimes, especially when you're 15, 16 years old.
I went to Texas Relays I want to say my junior year and senior year. I don't think I went my sophomore year.
Okay.
So my sophomore year in football, it was my last year playing football. I tore my ACL. So I was a tight end, came on a slant route, caught the ball, guy nailed my knee, and I tore my ACL.
Oh, wow.
So I was out for another 7 months, and I'm like, I can't do this again. So I quit football at that point.
Okay.
Which was awful. And I hope my coaches aren't watching from Reagan City, but they took my stuff out of my locker because I told them I'm going to quit. I was still on crutches. They put all my stuff out of my locker and took it out of the locker. Says you quit on the team. And I was like, well, I took about a year of rehab for injuries, so I was a little disappointed in that. So I had to change in Coach Howell's closet in his classroom.
Really?
Wow. So it was kind of messed up. But but no, yeah. So I don't know. My coach, like I said, Coach Howell, he was a very big motivator. He used to tell me, and I tell this to my kids even now. He says, only cry once, and what that means is. He's like, because I just go to meet the coach, what if I lose? I don't feel right. My shoulder kind of hurts. And he's like, well, you're already crying, so you've already lost in your mind. If you're going to cry, only cry once you lose. When you go to meets, you always be 100% confident in what you're going to do. Because once you start saying you're defeated, once you start saying you're tired or you're angry or you're sad, you've already lost the meet. And so I've gone to every competition since then with full confidence. Even though I wasn't going to win a meet, I used to go into my mind saying, I'm going to beat everybody here and no one's going to be able to touch me, even though I was going to lose. And so that's kind of just the way I've grown up once he told me that statement, and it stuck with me ever since. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, on you hurting your knee, was it your right knee or your left knee?
My right knee.
Right knee. Okay. So your knee that landed in your entry position.
Yep.
So you have a great senior year. Your junior year, you're starting to get a lot of accolades and stuff. What was your recruiting like, and who was the first people to kind of reach out to you?
So the first school to reach out to me was UCLA.
Wow.
They sent me a bunch of letters. I think that's when you could send the media book. It's something you can do that now. So I was like, UCLA all the way. I was like, the first person, because I was just getting so much stuff from them. They were recruiting me heavy. Called me from LSU, Auburn, Oklahoma, Arizona, and Michigan. I decided to have on my visits, and so it became really heavy. When that first day opened for recruiting, my phone was dead all day. I had to stay by the charger, and it was just constant calling from coaches. Wow. It's a pretty cool feeling to have. If you're a high school kid, you feel like the biggest thing on earth. It was phenomenal. So it was really fun.
Was this going into your junior year, right?
Yeah.
Your senior year?
My senior year, I think. It was the summer before my senior year because I did all my visits that first semester.
Okay. So you kind of already had an idea of your top 5 and what you were going to be doing on your recruiting trips in the fall and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I planned them around College Game Day for ESPN. Yeah, I did.
That's great.
I looked up all the schedules for College Game Days. I guess we go see Lee Corso put on the hat.
Yeah,
or whatever.
really.
And so I try to get them all that way. The biggest games, I'm like, if I want to go on visits to these games, I want to make sure I see the biggest games of the whole country.
Wow. So all right. So which was the best game that you saw on College Game Day?
I would say when I went on my LSU visit, they were playing Alabama.
Oh.
And LSU blocked the field goal to 2009 or 2008. Yeah. And that was the loudest stadium I've ever been in my life when they did that. It was awesome.
So were you on the field when that happened, or were you like in the recruiting box or whatever?
So you go on the field before the game, and then they put you in the stands when the game starts. I don't know if it's legal to have them on the field, but yeah, so it was just – I could not – my ears were ringing. It was awesome.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So those are your 5 schools. Kind of were you looking to make that decision and sign early and just kind of have an awesome senior year, or was it kind of one of those things where you were just kind of waiting to see how you doing your senior year, your end of your senior year?
So by the time I took my last visit in, I believe it was November, I wanted a decision 2 weeks later. I wanted to be done recruiting. I didn't want people to call me anymore. I wanted to just tell people I've committed and be done with it, because I wanted to start planning on my life. Like, what am I going to do at Auburn, or what the next college? I went to Auburn. What am I going to do there? I'm going to, just not worry about it anymore. Just take the stress off.
So what was about Auburn that made you choose to go there? Because, that's a kind of a different world from being in the valley of West Texas or South Texas and going to Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I enjoyed all my visits, but when I went to Auburn, we went to a Marriott, and they wine and dine you, not wine, high school, but anyway, dine you. And so I sit there, and there's this long table, and it's like a private room, and you have Corey Martin, Teresa Thurman, Edis Okasevec, Jacob or Dunkelberger.
Yeah.
You have all these guys that are All-Americans and the Olympians sitting at this table, and they're all 6'5", 6'6", towering. Eric Worski, Zach Clayton, and I sit there. I'm like, my gosh, these people are huge. Because I'm 6'2", and these guys are towering over me, big guys. And they just start chowing on these $150 steaks we got. And I'm like, I need to come here. This is awesome. this with the people. I mean, I went to train, and they're all throwing bombs with 18, 20-pound shots, and coaches just pinpointing every little thing that they're doing wrong, which all coaches do. Yeah. But it was just a training environment. Everyone was so focused on what they were doing, and not that I didn't see that in other schools, but I think me and Coach Clayton got along really well. I didn't want to coach. It sounds bad. I don't want to have, hey, coach, how's it going? Let's talk about our lives. I wanted someone to tell me what I was doing wrong so I could get better. And
Wow.
Coach Clayton and I got along really well, and we had that relationship. But I wanted a coach who was going to first make me good, and then we could have a relationship later. Just tell me what I need to do. Don't tell me, ask me about my day. Just tell me what I need to do. And that's what I wanted in a coach.
Yeah.
I know some people like that relationship.
Did Coach Clayton have a relationship or know of Coach Larry Howell, and there was a connection with those guys?
There was,
Okay.
and even my coach, he said, "Hey, talk to Coach Dave Woolman out of SMU."
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to a couple clinics of his. He taught me. So I mimic style Giannis Roberts. I don't know if that'll come up later, but I asked him. I said, "Hey, what colleges should I look at?" He's like, "Well, if you want to be great, you go to Auburn." And so I said I was already leaning towards Auburn, and he's like, "That's a good decision."
That
So-
woman told you this?
Yeah, because they had only had a women's program at the time.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
And so he kind of geared me towards there as well.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Dude, I have to admit, I looked at videos of you on YouTube throwing last night, and in high school, and I kind of saw that kind of lower left hand, left shoulder a little bit, and I was like, where did he pick that up at? And I was thinking maybe the guy from Georgia, Miller, that was real humped over. I can't even think of his name right now. But then
Yeah, I understand.
Andy
Boom.
Bloom. Yeah. But then all of a sudden now you say Giannis, and I'm like, damn, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how did you just pick up, technical videos on Giannis from YouTube and stuff?
No, so I went to a camp in SMU when I was in high school because Coach Woolman, he didn't invite me, but I talked to him at some meets.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, come to a camp." So I went to a camp, and he says, "You look like a guy from South Africa named Giannis Roberts as far as build and speed."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was sweeping my leg really wide. And he's like, "Don't do that. Drive across. So pick up your right leg as high as you can, stop, and let the whole right side get ahead of you." I said, "That kind of feels weird." And that week, I went from 67 feet in the shot to 71 in that one week. Just from that one movement.
Change.
And I said, "Why didn't I do this before?" Because I'm more of a fast athlete. I'm a faster athlete. And my speed really helped me throw in high school. So that just helped me really get across the ring a lot more aggressive.
Wow.
So-
Yeah,
Wow.
awesome.
And so you took that and just catapulted, into Auburn, but also your senior year a little bit.
Yeah. And
What
then
was it like?
go ahead.
I was gonna say, what was it like your senior year? Being probably one of the, you said earlier you were comparing yourself to everybody in the country, in your sophomore, junior year. What was it like now to be considered probably the best thrower in your senior year?
No, it was great. While I was improving, I think my freshman year I threw 52, then I threw 62, and then my junior year I threw 67. And I said, okay, I need to hit 70, but how far past 70 can I go? Because I was throwing in practice really far. And so I threw 72.6 my senior year, and I actually won indoor nationals. It was Nike. It was Nike and New Balance. Nike Nationals.
Yeah, Nike Nationals.
And so there's a funny story about that meet, but I won Nike Nationals. And so it was just great. I still kept in touch with Jordan Clark, Mason Finley, those guys I was comparing myself to every week. And we actually met up at Nationals. I lost to Mason outdoors by a foot or by a couple inches. I threw 5 throws over 70. He threw 1 over 70 and beat me. I gave him some crap about that because I'm like I did all this work and you throw 1 throw better than me. But that's fine. That's fine.
So
it's
are
kind of
you
fun.
still throwing the discus at this time too? Because you said you liked that a lot, but were you still doing the discus?
I threw 204 my junior year, but this was a hurricane force wind. It should not have gone that far. It almost, I threw it and it just bounced up. You know how that happens, and it just keeps riding. So that it's my PR, but it's not it's a fake throw. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
Very
I threw
wind assisted.
Yeah, I threw it 20 feet out of bounds because the wind was coming from down the back, and it came back in. That's how strong the wind was.
Oh,
But
wow.
my true PR is my senior year at Nationals outdoors. I threw 200 feet even against Mason Finley. I got second to him in Nationals.
Uh-huh.
So I would say 200 feet is my actual legitimate without wind. So
Wow. And I'm curious, I got one technical question for you. So I know you said you made the change of shot put, but that change, I don't want to say maybe altered you a little bit in discus. Did that change in the shot put help you in your discus or kind of maybe mess up your entry or anything like that? You know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, no, yeah, no, I think in high school, it helped.
Okay.
But in college, it hurt.
Okay.
Because in college, that entry with discus for me did not work because I got to the middle very quick and I shifted just a little bit, like the shot you have to kind of get over. For me, got over left a little bit. The discus, when I got over it, I never had a good release in college. But shot put was my main event. I wasn't going to alter my discus for my shot.
Yeah.
And so discus was kind of fell off a little bit.
Gotcha. Did you do much with the 2K and the 16 pound during your high school career, like practice or anything like that?
No, I never touched a 12 pound or anything heavier than 11 in practice. I
Really?
only threw 10 pounds, 11 pounds in high school.
Really? He entered even in the off season and stuff like that. You were even in the fall.
Never touched a 12 in practice, anything higher than 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's
and
where
we didn't
that fast explosive release came.
Yeah, and we never used a toe board. I didn't have a toe board in high school. My coach said if you can stay in the ring without a toe board, you don't have to worry about it. And so I stayed in the ring without toe boards when I threw in practice, and I never worried about it in the meet. Which I don't agree with now, but that was just for me. But I don't agree with it. Like that was extreme, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to me watching you videos last night, I watched a couple and I was like, he didn't get all the way across the ring. He was like, I was like, he didn't touch the toe board. He didn't get across the toe board.
I would throw the 11 pound in high school around 76, 75 in that range, and I would be about that far off the front of the ring. And I would still get over, but I just wouldn't use the whole ring, so I never worried about scratching.
Oh wow. That's a good point, because our club we there's a lot of theories on weights and when to throw light shot puts and heavy shot puts and all that type of stuff, and we've had Hayden Babilo on, which Balio, thank you.
Yep.
And his dad was like, here's the 16, you're gonna throw the 16 till the cows come home, and then we've had Winkler on, and Winkler would press 58 feet with the 16 and he would never throw the 12. Of course, he was Olympic lifting with Sammy Walker. So, to each his own. So
no, I never touched anything over 11 and I wanted to. My coach said, you don't need that, because when it was in the meet, adrenaline will make the 12 feel like an 11. So whatever you can throw the 12 in, or 11 in practice, throw the 12 in a meet. And so I said, okay, I trusted him completely. Yeah. And when you trust someone completely,
buy into what your coach is telling you.
I never argued with him at all, and just said, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna do to be the best. And he got me there. So
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So after, let's moving on to college. So after your great, tremendous high school career, you go into Auburn, Alabama as a freshman. Walk us through how that transition was initially. Being the individual, just the student, then also the changes to be the athlete as well.
Yes, it was difficult, just because you're on your own. I think every college freshman experiences I have to go to class today. But I was a pretty good student in high school. I was I think 3.99 or whatever in high school. I was top 15 in my class, so I was pretty motivated to do well in school. The issue was my weight. So I weighed 220 my senior year of high school, and when I got to college, I got down to 215 my first 2 or 3 months there. Because I didn't have a car, I was walking everywhere, and my coach put me on the scale, Coach Clay, and he just shook his head and said, "No, you're not walking to class anymore." And I live literally blocks from my class. Oh, wow. As a coach, I'm like, I can just walk there like in 8-10 minutes. He's like, "You're gonna take the bus." So he made me take the bus everywhere and had my teammates pick me up for practice, so I wouldn't walk and lose weight. I'm like, Coach, and
was he like, go eat more?
He said, I don't care how you do it, you better be 250 at the end of your freshman year. Oh, wow. And I said, okay, and I just ate pizza and hot dogs and everything I could put. I ate so much, and I got so fat really fast, and I was like, this is awful. But I wanted to be good, so he told me that at 252 body weight, that's when you have a positive impact on the shot with the 16, and that me being less than that, I had a negative effect on me as I threw. So I said, okay, I trust you completely. I'm going to do it. And so I got a 252 my freshman year, gained like 30 some pounds.
Yeah, that was way more than a freshman 15.
But I also got strong, like muscle mass and stuff, but a lot of it was fluff. It wasn't all clean.
Can I ask what was the science behind 252? I've never heard that one.
I don't know. He just told me, and I said, okay, I believe it. And Corey Martin was there, and Corey Martin told me as well, you have to be over 250 to throw the 16. And I don't know the science behind it. I never saw any studies. I think they're just joking with me, making me do it. But I said, okay, I'll go ahead.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah. It was like, what can we tell to make this unbelievable? That's what I think.
That's awesome.
There is probably some science to it, some
yeah.
math equation or something.
So was there an alternating athlete that had to pick you up every day? Was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Was it Corey? The Tuesdays and Thursdays?
No, so Eric Worski picked me up every day for practice.
Oh, Eric did.
Eric Worski, yeah.
Okay.
He would come up at dorms. He would. Yeah, I'm here. I'm like, I headed out. So he hated it. I think he hated it. He's just like stupid freshman. I had to pick him up.
Well, now you could use that connection and get you some Gator tickets now.
I know. Yeah. He just got the job there. Did awesome at Iowa. So.
Yeah, that's cool. So you put on that amount of weight, and you going into your indoor year. Were you feeling comfortable with the 16 as a freshman?
So my freshman year, my coach and I had a discussion on what we're going to do. So I said, Coach, it'd be awesome if we redshirted. So me, Eric, redshirted my freshman year, and that was his senior year. We both redshirted.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Our team was going to be better the following year for the national meet. And so we both just trained that year and put on weight and got stronger.
Wow. Now, how was it changing coaches? Because you were with someone, who's had a big mentor in your life since, you were junior high age to now all of a sudden, changing, and facial features and demeanors and tones and verbiage and everything else. How was that change?
It was a little bit of a black and white. So my high school coach was great. Every time after practice, hey, so what you got to do to get better, mental, and this is what we got to chase. And it was very one-on-one connection. I'm talking about our goals. When I got to college, and this is what I talked about earlier, went to practice, Coach Clayton stood there, this. After practice, see you tomorrow. And it was like, come in, do your work, leave. There was no connection. And I asked Eric Worski and Corey Martin, I said, hey guys, does he ever say good job on a throw? Because I haven't had one yet. He's like, rarely. Unless you do it perfectly, Coach Clayton is not going to say good job. So it took him a while, but I got a couple out of it. So every time I did, I'm like, looked at where Eric, I'm like, hey, you hear that? I got a good job.
Now, what was it? Because Corey's a big name in throwing, and so is Eric as well. What was it like coming in that type of throwing environment with those two guys and even some of the females there? You went from probably not having anybody at your practices even touch you within 10 or 15 feet to all of a sudden now you're like, oh, man, I'm in the big boys section.
Yeah, it was very intimidating. I went the 16 my first day. It killed me. It crushed me. I went from throwing 72 in high school to throwing 50 feet to my first day, and I'm like, I can't. What is going on? This thing is heavy.
Yeah.
And now I'm weighing 215. These guys Eric was 305 at the time. Warren was 290, 300, and they're 2 inches taller than me and bigger. And I'll never forget, we went to the weight room the first day, and Eric Worski's repping out, I think like 315 for 4 or 5. And I put a 225 on, I do 2 reps, and I can't do the 3rd rep. And I'm like, what a loser. I feel like they're going to say, why did we recruit this kid? Like, why did we get this kid to Auburn, this much scholarship, if he can't even do 225 5 times his first day lifting? And I'm just so embarrassed. But after a while, you get used to it, and I got bigger. And I think the weight I put on helped me tremendously. Yeah.
Now,
but no, it was just interesting.
Backtracking a little bit, were you introduced to Olympic lifting, snatch, and clean and jerks, during your high school career any?
I did it during my high school career, but I wasn't that good at it. I threw 315 from the floor for a power clean. When I got to college, Coach Clayton said, we're not doing power cleans at all, just hang clean. So I never went from the floor again when I got to college. Okay. And then I did snatches, but my junior year in high school, I was doing incline bench. And I was by myself. If you're watching this, high school kids, don't lift by yourself. I racked up the right side. The left side was underneath the rack, and I thought it was, and I let go. It took my arm back and dislocated the shoulder.
Oh, no.
So my rotator cuff and everything just blew out, and I said, I don't want to get surgery on it because I don't need to. It's my left side.
Yeah.
And so snatches were a little tough because I can't get my arm back behind my head.
Yeah.
So I would kind of throw it up and just bail out of it. I wouldn't actually stick it up there.
Gotcha.
But as far as cleans go, I knew how to clean, but the snatches were a little difficult for me because my shoulder was messed up.
Okay. Cool. Did he, when during your process of recruiting and stuff, did he even mention hammer or weight in the intro of you throwing at Auburn as well?
Yeah, he said he would try me at it, and if I was good, he would have me do it. He says he has every athlete try it, just because you never know. But it wasn't more than that, and so I did do it in college, but it wasn't a focus. It was actually pretty fun. I mean, I think everyone likes the hammer just because it's so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a good time.
Wow. So you have a decent freshman year. You're redshirted. Then you get into your sophomore year. Now you kind of, you're not wet behind the ears anymore. So you're ready to roll that sophomore year, right?
Yep. And I threw 1832 my redshirt freshman year. So right at 60 feet.
60 meter. Wow. Okay. So you definitely, that weight, everything that you added really helped.
Yeah. So I lost 12 feet from shot put from my shot that freshman year.
Oh, freshman year. Okay.
Yeah, my true freshman year.
Your true freshman year. Okay. Was there something that you kind of picked up from the older guys in the competition? Because you're an SEC, man. That does not play in the throwing world.
It was as far as throwing wise, for my body type, staying in the middle as long as you can helped me, because that 16 is no joke. If you get what I was doing in high school at the finish, did not fly in college. So I had to stay back a little more and rotate on that right and go up as opposed to up and out, which you still go up and out.
Yeah.
I just had, for my technique, I had to stay a little longer on that to really feel the ball behind me.
Yeah. Do you think that technically was because you never really had anything heavy? That was that 11 pounds that you were, kind of feeling?
I think so. I never touched the 16 in my life before I got to college. And so when I held it, I'm like, okay, it doesn't feel too bad when you're holding it. When you start turning with it, it's like, geez, it's another like head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So it was difficult for me.
Okay. Then let me ask you this. How did you deal with the size? Because if you're throwing 11, was it 127 and how the circumference and stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the size was not too bad. I have large hands.
Okay. Okay.
Now the issue that I had was, throughout this interview, I'm going to show you all my injuries.
I know, you got a lot.
Yeah. So I was throwing my senior year of at regionals, and I throw it, and I look at my hand, and my finger is popped out to the side. It's still kind of messed up.
See that.
And so my coach is like, "Oh, just put it back and throw further." I'm like, "Okay." And so I put it back, and then the next throw, my knuckle like pops out, and so my hands are all messed up. So I think the biggest thing, and this is before you can actually tape up your fingers. That was before that rule.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the 16 was just, it would always split my fingers. So what I had to do was I had to just do rice buckets a lot more. So that was the issue was my hand strength wasn't where I needed to be to throw that 16. I had to really get these muscles and tendons and everything stronger to throw that 16 pound.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Now, what we hadn't even talked about academic side. What were you trying to study at Auburn and stuff? And, what were you looking to do?
Yeah. So I wanted to be something in the athletic field. So whether a coach or, because my coach had such an impact on me. So I decided to go into fitness, conditioning, and performance to do either personal training or being a coach. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to get my master's. That's why I redshirted. I think one of the reasons. So that's kind of was my goal. And I got my undergrad in fitness, conditioning, and performance, and my master's in biomechanics.
Wow. Master's in biomechanics.
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
Now I'm an English teacher.
Welcome back, track people. This is Brandon, owner of fourthrows.com. We're a fast and growing track and field company that specializes in the throws. With our speed shipping, implement warranties, and rock bottom prices on javelins, discuses, shot puts, and hammers, call us up today to talk directly to one of the owners at fourthrows.com.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So 2012, your first team All-American, you get fourth at indoor nationals, and you set a school record in the shot put at 60 feet, 10 and a half. What was that meet like, throwing that far? And did you feel like after you threw that far, do you feel like you belonged then?
That was at nationals?
Yes.
So that was in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
And so that meet, I was throwing from Mexico for about a year at that moment.
Oh, you already have now. Okay.
So I was throwing the year before. They called me up. And so anyway, that meet, they said, if you throw 20 meters, that is the B standard for the Olympic Games. And once you throw 20 meters, we'll put you on the list to go to the Olympics. And so I said, okay, I'm peaking perfectly. So Boise, Idaho is where I should do it. I threw 20 meters 08 and qualified for the Olympics. That's the meet that I qualified at.
Wow.
So I got fourth, so that was pretty cool.
No, I was going to get into that a little bit later on, but you brought it up, so I didn't know the sequence and stuff. So you represented Mexico in the Olympics. You know, how did that idea even start? I'm guessing somebody implemented it while you were at Auburn, and kind of walk us through that experience of what it was like.
Yeah, no. So I was at my sophomore year, which is my redshirt freshman year. I was at my coach's house. We had a little cookout, a barbecue.
This is Coach Clayton.
Coach Clayton's house, yeah.
Okay.
We had a barbecue. We did those every so often. And my coach calls me, Coach Howell, high school. He says, hey, talk to a buddy of mine. Is your mom Mexican or is my grandma Mexican? I said, yeah, my grandma's Mexican. She's from Mexico. So why? He's like, I was just curious. Let me call you back. That was a weird question. Like,
I've known you my entire life.
I know. I'm Hispanic, so he called me back a little while later. Said, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you. I don't know if you want to do it." I'm like, "What is it?" Says, "Well, a buddy of mine says that they're looking for a thrower or athletes who are from South Texas or just Hispanic in general, be on the Olympic team or teams for Mexico."
Okay.
I said, okay, that's pretty cool. In my mind, I'm like, this is not going to happen because it's such a far-fetched thing.
Yeah.
To compete for another country. And so I just kind of blew it off. But a month later, another call. Hey, this is so-and-so from the Mexican Federation. We need you to get your passport and visa, and we can get you to throw for us. At this point, I'm like, okay, it's getting a little more real.
Okay.
So my mom had to get her citizenship from Mexico because she was not Mexican. She was born here. She was born in California.
Okay.
So, and then I got mine in Alabama. And so I was Mexican. It was like a day I was a Mexican citizen. And so that was kind of cool. And then my passport, and like 2 months later, I'm on a flight to Puerto Rico to compete for Mexico in a meet.
Wow.
So
it happened just like that.
Needed to have like a heritage from your grandmother being born in Mexico. Okay.
Yes. So I had it was through my grandmother I could compete for Mexico. And tell you, I was nervous. I've never been more nervous in my life to compete for a country because I'm from the United States. I was born in South Texas. Are they going to hate me? Did I just go in there? I'm throwing pretty far at this point. I'm throwing 1980, 20 meters. Are they going to hate me that this American comes in? But man, I'll tell you what, those guys were awesome. I go there to my first meet. I see them on, I don't know what airport we were at. I think it was Mexico City. And I'm wearing a gray t-shirt and black shorts, the most vague thing you could possibly wear. They look at me, and I see them all wearing their gear. I look at them, they're like, Steven Saenz? I'm like, yeah. And they all start like high-fiving, and I'm like, man, welcome to the team. And I'm like, this is great. I thought they were going to be like, kind of give me the cold shoulder, but I made so many great friends and so many great memories on that team. And and they cheered me. I got second, I think, to Odane Richards at that meet from Jamaica. And it was phenomenal. I had a phenomenal, I think, 5 years throwing for them. And they supported me throughout the whole college as far as like for the meets and stuff, and it was just a really good time.
How was that approach? Mexico's, they're not known for producing great shot putters and stuff. So did you have a national coach there, or did Coach Clayton kind of oversee stuff? And then, what was the qualifying steps? Did they have like an Olympic trials that sort of like we had in the US? Yeah.
So you have to throw for a state. So I threw this for the state of Sonora, which is northern Mexico under Arizona. So you have to throw for a state. So that was a state that I decided to throw for. They kind of said, hey, just throw for us. I don't think it mattered because I wasn't born there.
Okay.
And so I threw for Sonora, and I had to go to a national meet, and you have to get top 3 at nationals in order to compete at the Pan American Games or the NACAC or CAC or the Olympic Games.
Okay.
And you get to the standards. You still have to get the AB standard or the A standards for the Olympics or World Championships. So it was very similar to the U.S., except a lot easier. You didn't have guys throwing 21 meters. And actually, my second year there, I broke the national record. And I don't have it anymore. Someone threw 2070, which is awesome. I'm so happy that Mexican throwing is getting better. Yeah. We have a hammer thrower that's awesome, Diego. But yeah, that was. It's pretty similar to U.S.
Now, I'm kind of curious. Your father had an early influence. Was your father pretty much, let's go do this, let represent your grandmother? Or was there any kind of hesitation on your father's side of, going to Mexico to represent them?
No,
No, okay.
I'm from an area in the Valley where we're 99% Hispanic,
Mhm.
Mexican people. So I was pretty comfortable around, Hispanics, Mexicans. Like I am Mexican, so it's very comfortable. So going there was very casual, just like very easy to transition to that.
Awesome.
But my dad was like, whatever. My dad is always whatever you want to do, I'm gonna support 100%. My dad, my mom are both awesome. Like they are the most supportive people in the world. Whatever I want to do, they would just support 100%. But I feel like that's not rare, but they're just awesome people.
Do you have siblings
I do have an older brother and a younger sister.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Were they throwers?
My brother threw 52 feet, like my dad. So
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. I'm sure you rubbed that in with him a couple times.
a couple times. Yeah. But I tell you what, in football, he used to pancake me all the time. So he kind of got physical. So
Gotcha. Understand. So, all right. So you in 2012, you go through the qualifying, you hit that mark in the indoor meet. So you were preparing in the springtime, for Olympic trials that summer and stuff, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So going back to Auburn, man, you're also first team All-American in the shot put, honorable mention in the discus. Did you not why didn't you do discus for Mexico as well?
So we had a thrower, Mario Cota. He was about 61 meters.
Okay.
And I threw for Sonora at the national meet.
Okay.
And I threw around 55, 54, but I wasn't going to make the Olympics or anything. But so I just had to do a shot. But we already had throwers who were throwing further than me in the discus.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. So is there something that, that stood out during that 2012 of of Auburn, that track season, that really kind of thought you were really set to go have a great meet in London in 2012?
No, so it was just, I think during season, I was great. I was feeling phenomenal. My groove was good.
Yeah.
I think the thing that happened this summer was everyone at home. And so you're training with a couple of guys, and it's just a long summer dragging out. And I went to some meets in Mexico, but the competition wasn't there. And a lot of it was traveling by myself for a week, coming back. So it got very tiring very fast. And so I was like, I'm not used to this long season traveling. The traveling really kind of took a toll. And the Pan American Games was awesome. I got fourth there. And so I was gearing up for a good Olympics. And when I got there, the NCAA said no coaches can coach you that are your college coaches because they have extra benefits.
Oh, yeah.
And so I said, well, that's kind of weird. This is the biggest meet of my life. I don't know why they do
Coach
that.
Clayton couldn't go.
He went for other athletes.
Yeah.
But he cannot coach me the week leading up to me throwing. So I was like, and my dad had ankle surgery that week. He had a really bad bone infection, so he couldn't go. So I was essentially on my own out there. And we did have a Mexican coach. But me and him didn't really know each other.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that feel. And so as I think I was 20 years old, 21, I was like, man, this is kind of scary. I'd never been to a meet this big, the Olympic Games. But no, and then the day that I competed was the day they lifted the ban for coaches to coach athletes. So he actually did go in the stadium and did help me out. But at that point, it was a little off. I mean, I threw okay. I didn't throw great, but my first Olympics, I was okay.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Walk us to where you're going on the plane and you're there in London. Did you do the opening ceremonies and walk?
Yeah. So I get to London, and I'm wearing my Mexico gear. They give us a suitcase, like every country does.
Yeah.
And I get on the bus, a double-decker bus. They're taking us to the village, and the guy says in his heavy British accent, "Where do you want to go?" Or where are you going to go? Where you headed? Because there's a couple different spots you could go. And I said, the village. He's like, you speak pretty good English for a Mexican. I was like, all right. So he's like, I sit down.
British accent. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I sit down, go to the village, and then the opening ceremonies, I didn't realize that you don't watch any of the opening ceremonies until you actually walk into the stadium.
Yeah.
So we're just standing in line for a couple hours, and you see the fireworks and these lights from the stadium. But I was nervous. My heart was racing. I've never been so nervous in my life. We walked in there, and the crowd is going crazy. It's amazing.
Wow. No, we didn't even ask about this. When you were in high school, did you ever have that dream of, man, could I make the Olympics someday? Did that ever come across your brain?
It came across it.
Yeah.
I was so focused on the moment of high school, but yeah, of course, everyone said you're going to go to the Olympics. I'm like, okay, well, let's get through nationals first. Let's get through state first. But yeah, no, it would cross my mind, and how cool it would be to actually do something like that would be great.
Wow. And I'm drawing a blank. So who represented the USA in 2012?
It was Christian Cantwell, Reese Hoffa, and
Adam.
Was it Adam? Was that his last one?
I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I was thinking it was Cantwell and Reese. I couldn't remember the third one.
I don't remember the third person. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was Adam Nelson. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
We can look it up a little bit later on and stuff like that. So what was it like? Who even won in 2012?
Thomas Majeski.
Okay. Yeah.
But I remember I was after Cantwell. I threw after Cantwell. And I was like,
really?
Dang it. He's still in some of our smaller country. And so he goes up there and throws a bomb. And I'm like, man, people might be really disappointed in what I'm about to do. so you're like almost like 19. I'm like, first throw, jitters.
Yeah.
And the process of the Olympics is unreal. So in NCAA's, you go into a station, you wait, they take you out to the field, you throw for 10 minutes, and you start throwing. Mm-hmm. The Olympics, you go out to a venue outside the stadium, you warm up for, let's say, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Then they say, okay, let's go inside. So they walk you through inside. About 8 minutes later, you sit down for 20 minutes. They do bag check. You have a little warm-up room, you're just warming up, there's kind of no throwing. And then you do another check. And they walk, and then by this point, you haven't thrown for about an hour and 10 minutes, hour 20 minutes. And then you have 2 throws in the stadium, and then you start competing. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I don't feel any sort of rhythm.
Yeah.
Because as a spinner, you have to develop rhythm. And I didn't feel that. So my first throw was to develop rhythm or to get back into it. Mm-hmm. And then by that time, you're like, okay, I gotta put the juice on now. And it was just a little bit different. Yeah. I'm sure other throwers you've had on will tell you the same or very similar stories, but if you're not used to that experience of going through the process of the waiting rooms, it's a little different.
Yeah. Now this was in the qualifying rounds, right?
Yes, this is the qualifying round.
Yeah. What were you in the A group or B group at that time?
I don't know. I was on the right side.
You were on the right side.
Yeah. I was on the right side. Yeah. They split it up pretty evenly. It's random draw.
Yeah. So you got 3 throws. Which one was your best throw in the qualifying?
I think my second throw was the best throw. Okay. My second throw was the best one. Then the third one, I just said, okay, I'm going to go for it because I'm not, unless I threw 2050, 2060, I'm not going to make the final. So I went for it and I lost a little bit. And I was like, okay, that's my Olympic journey right there.
Yeah. But, did you stay around and watch the finals and stuff
I did. So it was later that night. So I went back, showered, had a good pity party for myself, and then I went back and watched the rest of it.
Wow!
You can only cry once, right?
Yep, so only cry once. Only when you lose.
That's great. That's why I married her. She's got a memory on her, so she never lets me forget anything. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So you come back home, and you got a lot of media hype coming back home to the Valley and stuff.
Yep.
What was that experience like for you? Because you're a young cat, man. You're still sophomore, junior in college, and this kind of just happened.
Yeah, no, it was great. My city, it's only about 10,000 people, and so when things happen that are, on the national level, world level, they really rally behind that person. It was really cool. Made me feel better about the whole thing because I still felt back, man, I could have done better. You always think you could have done better.
Yeah.
So with them kind of showing up to the football stadium, kind of saying, hey, we're proud of you. It really meant a lot. And I love my city. I love the Valley. We're having a lot more throwers now come out of there because Coach Howell, a lot of great coaches down there. So it meant a lot. But yeah, and it was great. My friends all showed up and I was like, this is cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
Making the Valley proud and making Rio proud.
So how did you, so you had to go back for your senior year in 2013, right?
So I'm back for my junior year. My senior year, but my junior year competing.
Junior year competing. Okay, that's right. How did you, because you were that adrenaline of going through the summer, then all of a sudden you probably didn't have the off season you normally had, and now like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back in LSU indoors.
Yep. Well, so indoors, I think I don't remember what I got. I got top like fourth, to third, to fifth. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
No, that's
all
okay.
All the national meets. And I had a semi disappointing indoor season. And I think just the longevity of the season, I just went right back into training. I was a little tired and fatigued, and then my body was starting to wear down a little bit. So I go to outdoors, and my chest is kind of hurting a little bit. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just overtraining. So we back off a little bit, go to Texas Relays, because I was with the deal that Coach Clayton and I made, is I went to Auburn, he'd bring me back to compete so my parents could see me.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So my parents can come see me at Austin.
Okay.
And what's it called? I go to lift at this gym, and we're doing 3-board benching afterwards. And I said, Coach, my chest is kind of hurting, and it's just overtraining. And I'm benching, and I feel pop, 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 pop. And my pec tendon just rips out. And so I know, I look down, and this weight's on my chest, and my chest is indented, like black and blue. And so if I get the weight off of me, I had to call an ambulance because I could not move my arm. My whole pec was gone.
Oh,
and so I was on a plane the next week, went to go get surgery, and I got a scar from my armpit up here to fix my pec. So after my Olympic year, I tore my pec.
Oh, wow.
And so I was done for 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
straight rehab, no throwing for 9 months.
No throwing. So I said, you know what? Maybe I'm done. Maybe I don't know, because the doctor said it's tough to come back from this, especially from an event that literally is all your chest to throw. And so I said, I think I can do it. I don't know. The tendon did this. Instead of tearing it, sheared, then tore.
Yeah.
And so they had to kind of put all it back. And it was the most painful rehab I've had in my life, considering I've had 2 other major surgeries on my ankle and my knee. But I trained for 9 months, and they said I couldn't do anything else because if I did squats or anything, my chest would be pressure. And so they didn't let me on the Auburn gym. So I signed up for another gym and lifted anyway because I'm like, I can't just not lift. Yeah. So I did it behind their backs, which is also kids don't do.
Yeah.
Was Coach Clayton aware that you were lifted behind their back?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I needed to do something to get my mind off the negativity of it all. Because I'm like, I literally went from the top of the world to now being, I may not never throw the same again. And so I trained, and I come out the next season indoors, I feel like 18-20. And I'm like, that's my PR. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really over. But I said, you know what, I'm going to keep training. And all I did, because I was pulling my head because I was scared of this pec tearing. Because it still hurt. I could do maybe 18 hard throws in practice, and I was done. Yeah. My chest would just be throbbing. And all I did was look at the shot when I threw and ended up throwing 20-35, a PR.
In 2014.
In 2014. As my PR, and I threw it after this pec. And actually, I tell people, the Olympics must have been your best meet or the most memorable meet. My most memorable meet was that throw I had 20-35 because of this. And I got second to Tim Nito.
Yeah.
I beat Eric Worski, and I beat all those guys. I'm sorry, Eric, if you're watching this.
Yeah, I was letting you know.
But no, it was a cool meet. And and then Coach Clayton just left to Michigan, so I had to train on my own, and he was at Michigan. And so, it was in California.
What in that experience of that adversity, what is something that you really kind of take out to that you use today with your kids? Because I'm really curious. We talk to our kids perseverance, overcoming adversity. We only cry once, man. That because I've had some serious injuries myself that injured that stopped me from my dreams as well, and I can relate to, like, you're sitting there like, man, what is going on? What am I going to do? What is something you kind of learn from that experience that you teach your kids today?
No, I think nowadays kids want it's instant gratification and everything. They say, if I don't get better in this practice or this next practice, I think I can't do it. I grew up, and my dad and my brother and sister, my mom, we take our time. We go through the process of getting better. And I said, okay, this is not going to take, I'm not going to be better in 5 months or even a year. But if I don't try, then I'm always going to regret it. So if I look in the mirror 20 years from now and say, if I didn't try, I'm going to look back at my childhood or my youth and say, why didn't you do it? Could have done it. And so I said, I'm going to go 100%. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But at least I actually know that I tried.
Yeah.
And I think, and I knew it was going to take a while. I knew it was going to not be easy, but might as well give 100% and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, doesn't. If it does, then at least I came back and overcame that. So
yeah. So and so during 2014, were you thinking, okay, do I want to become a professional thrower? And because you went to the Pan Am Games in 2015, and you were just kind of hanging in there, kind of moving forward with it.
Yeah, at this point, my chest was still. I rarely finished a meet after my chest. So even when I threw my PR, I couldn't finish the meet. I had one throw left, I couldn't do it because my chest was throbbing. And so in practice, I couldn't throw more than 2 days in a row because my chest wouldn't allow it. I couldn't, after the day after I lift, I would have to do this technique because my chest wouldn't allow it. And so I had to change my whole training around my chest because it was so bad. And I did rehab. I tried to strengthen it up and it just was painful. And I said, if I keep doing this, I'm going to tear it again or get injury somewhere else because I'm compensating.
Gotcha.
But no, so I said, I'm going to try to the next Olympics, 2016. And they moved the standard up to 2050.
Mm-hmm.
My PR was 2035. And I still threw 20 meters in some meets, but I couldn't get that last 15 centimeters. And so I said, at 2016, I had my last meet in Mexico City at Nationals, and I won that meet and said, I'm working 3 jobs in Ann Arbor trying to make ends meet. I said, I have a wife and we're poor. So I'm like, I think I've had a good career. And then that same year I tore my groin and I'm like, I'm beat up. I'm a little tired and I'm gonna let other people take it over from here. I'm good. I'm happy with my career.
Wow.
That's a good way.
So you, on a little side note too, you went to University of Michigan, as a volunteer coach, and you followed Coach Clayton up there.
Yep.
How did that come about, initially? And then also too, did you ever view yourself as, I want to get into coaching and, be a college throws coach? Did that ever cross your mind? You had a master's degree in biochemistry or biomechanics.
Yeah, no, I went to Michigan. Coincidentally, I had met my wife the year after the Olympics, or my girlfriend, wife at the time, and she threw for the University of Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so one of the better looking throwers out there. And
you better say that.
And or the best looking thrower. And my coach got that job in Michigan my senior year. And so he went there and I said, hey coach, you mind if I follow you up there after my season and train for 2 years? He's like, come on up. You'll be volunteer coach. I'll train you for free and help with the guys if I'm ever out. Perfect. Because he always told me that I had a pretty good eye for things. And so I went up there, trained for 2 years, didn't make the Olympics, and my wife got married. She was already there, which is great.
Yeah.
But no, and then he said, you'd be pretty good throws coach. He's like, I don't recommend it though. He told me, try to steer me away from it because it is a hard life.
Yeah.
It's a very hard life, especially if you have a family. But I said, I'm going to give it a try. I want to help you. Helped me so much. My coach in high school helped me so much. I want to do the same for kids. And that's when I got my job at ULM after those 2 years.
Wow. So you went from somebody hardly ever talking to you, never saw you get a good throw, just pointing at you, now following you.
Yeah, I know. We talk quite a bit.
Okay.
I'll call him and ask for advice, and like all of them with Corey Martin, him and Corey talk all the time. Him and John Smith talk all the time. And I think I'm in that group now where we share training tips, especially in the weight room stuff. A lot of what we do for the weight room is, I won't say secretive, but we all have our own little style from that tree, that John Smith Clayton tree.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. That's cool. So after you do the volunteers coach, you come to Monroe, Louisiana to be your throws coach at ULM.
Yeah. I needed a job. My wife and I were struggling for money, and I'm like, I just applied to every job there was. And I knew I wasn't going to be a Power 5 coach. So I just didn't even bother. I said mid-majors or D2s. I didn't care. ULM calls me. I said, I'll take the job without even looking at their throws squad. And I'm like, and I get there. I said, I should have looked at their throw squad. Why did I take this job? And so I get there. And the heat is unreal.
Yeah, from Michigan to Louisiana.
Yeah.
That's a big
deal. And it's where Duck Dynasty's filmed. So I'm like, okay, I got that. So when I have recruits in, I can take them to Duck Dynasty place, get them a duck call. We're good. That's my whole thing.
Oh, no, that was your sales pitch.
I took him at Duck. Every recruit I had, I took to Duck Dynasty. the place where they make the duck calls.
Yeah.
And we would try to see Jay or Mama Kay or all those guys. Uncle Si was there, and occasionally, hey, Uncle Si, hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the kids to be like, wow, this is a really family-oriented city.
Yeah.
And I would only drive them through the nice part,
Yeah.
It was little, yeah, okay. And so I got some pretty good recruits, but I had a kid named Alton Clay, and this kid was a senior, and he was a great athlete. Little rudimentary in his movements. I said, I'm going to redshirt you because I need something next year.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. And redshirted him, and I taught him the weight, I teach him the weight. He knew the weight, but he improved about 4 meters in about a year and a half, and he actually got second in nationals for NCAA Division I.
Wow.
And so that was pretty cool. So I'm like, okay, awesome. I got something out of ULM, and the kids did awesome at conference. Had some 60-meter guys in shots, 17-meter guys, and then CMU opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley Muffett actually gave me the recommendation to go to CMU because she knew Coach Sweeten. And then I made that transition back to Michigan for my wife. She wanted to go back up there. And it was a little better school as far as taking a step up.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. What was that experience like? Because it was a step up and a little bit more pressure, competing at a higher level and stuff.
Well, I told my wife, like, if I can get these kids in Louisiana to throw good and recruit here at the school, then CMU will be a little easier. And so I get there, and sure enough, the coach there had done a phenomenal job with these girls. He left them in a good spot. It was a very easy transition. The girls, and even the guys too, took a liking to me very fast. Different training style, different training methods, but had some heavy hitters. I had a girl throw 66 meters in the hammer. A couple girls over 60 in the hammer. Erin Howard, All-American, threw 1640 in the shot, 54 in the disc. I mean, we had some pretty good girls. Guys, I had Logan Targart, All-American in the weight. I don't know why I didn't throw it very well, but I guess I could coach the hammer and weight pretty good.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was here going, for someone who never threw it pretty good, you got a good record with it.
Well, I feel people may not agree. I feel like hammer, you just teach the ball. You teach the ball passing. You do that, and don't worry about other things. You don't have to worry about small details in the hammer. It's a feel of it. And maybe I just say that because I don't know enough about it, but that's how I coach it. I wouldn't even, I would say here, spin, and they would get in, like, what do I do? I'm like, just turn.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even teach them the steps for about a week or two, just to get them to feel the rhythm of it. Yeah. And I feel like once you lose the rhythm, then you've done the discus. I believe is the hardest event to coach. It's all rhythm based.
Yeah.
And so I just say, throw it. I'm not going to teach you anything for about 2 weeks. Just throw it and just see how you feel.
Yeah.
And so that's how I thought.
Our hammers coach is Chris and Chandler Crowley, and that's kind of little rhythm and timing's a little bit his same philosophy and stuff like that. And stuff. And first, when he started teaching, I was like, dude, you're not going to work with their feet? I was like, they're not, look at their feet. And he's like, I got it.
Yeah, just let them go. Let them go.
So, that's cool. So you're there for 2 years, if you don't mind me asking. Why did you leave, if you don't mind? Was it something just family and stuff?
No, so at this point, I had a son and a daughter.
Okay.
My son was 2, and my daughter was born in October. It's her birthday next week. But my wife, she was in Michigan. She was the director of operations for the University of Michigan track and field.
Oh, wow.
Then went to Louisiana. She was an academic advisor for ULM.
Okay.
And so everywhere we're moving, I'm having a job quick because that's where we're moving for me, but she has to find a job.
Yeah.
And then I moved to CMU. She never got a job at CMU. She worked at a place, a family, like, parent planning. People want to have abortions. It was a Christian organization. She would try to stray them from that and work with abused people. Didn't pay a lot at all. And so we struggled a little bit financially up there. And I thought to myself, is this the life that I want for my family to keep moving? Because we're going to keep moving. It's the life of a college coach. And I'm always out, travel recruiting and with meets. Do I want to do this? If I was single, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But I have a family, and I said, I think I can do something else to be with my family more and probably make a little more money as well to financially support them. So we got to a spot where we had like less than like $600 in our bank account. I was like, this kind of stinks. So I got my certification for English for Texas because I was thinking about it. It wasn't a for sure thing. We go to nationals for Logan Targart, still the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And the day before he competes, COVID shuts everything down. They canceled the meet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So we're literally like me, Patrick Evil from Auburn, Corey Martin, he's in Indiana.
Yeah.
We're all at the ring doing our weight pre-meet, and they make an announcement, everyone leave the building.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go home. Yeah. And so the week leading up to that, CMU comes out and says, we're going to cut the men's track team. So all my guys.
I remember that. Okay.
So all my guys, they called me and told me, and then 2 minutes later called the athletes themselves without letting me tell the athletes. I was pretty upset about that.
Oh.
And so
I remember.
So they did it within like 5 minutes. Cut the team, told the kids. And so I was like, the guys were awesome. I had 5 guys there that were top 3, top 4 in the conference in every event, and they just gone. So my whole job then, I just focused on getting them to other colleges that would give them scholarships, because the whole world just got turned upside down.
Yeah, and they wound up finding someplace, right?
Yeah, so a couple of my kids, even the ones that recruited, like, where are they going to go? So GVSU picked them up. Logan went to Indiana with Corey Martin, because he was 66-meter hammer thrower. So he was pretty good. I don't know where Connor went. I'm not sure he went. And then Targart, his younger brother, went to SIU with Lambert, because Lambert, Corey, all those guys are the same tree. Yeah. Clayton, John Smith. So we all had the same style of training, weight room and throwing.
Wow.
So I got those guys to colleges. And then I'm like, that was kind of a bad thing that happened. So I said, I think it's about that time I just move on to something else. And then I interviewed down here in Reagan, and I got the job. So now I'm here. It's my second year teaching at Reagan.
Wow. And you're doing the throws?
I'm doing throws, yeah. I think that helped me get the job.
Now, how is that, kind of life coming full circle for you, and, coaching high school kids, and you got some good throwers? And
yeah, so when I got here, COVID there was nothing. We had to teach virtually for the first year, but the kids weren't coming to school. It was some of them were a little lazy. This year we have everybody on campus, so this year's going to be better. Last year I had about 140 guy in the disc and 48, so it wasn't the greatest, but the Grande kids on campus wasn't very much. Yeah. So this year, I see all the football players. I'm like, okay, it's going to be a better year. There's some bodies out there. So this year we should have a couple of guys over 150, 160, and 50 low, 50 mid.
Okay,
so pretty happy about that.
Now, do you just coach the boys or girls too?
I coach boys and girls.
Okay, all right.
The difference
is your legacy in throwing.
They asked, and I told them, and I think they just kind of like, whatever. kids don't care. They're like, oh, Olympics? Okay, what else were we talking about? Like, they don't care.
What grade level do you teach English to?
I'm English 3, so juniors.
Okay. Oh, that's
So Crucible, Great Gatsby, Jurassic Park, those kind of books.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. Do you feel like coaching and teaching at the high school level is your niche?
I think so. I like working with the athletes, because in college you get a cherry pick. You get a hand pick who you want. In high school, you get what they give you. And some kids are there that are really focused, and some kids are just out there to be part of the team. And those are the ones you gotta say, hey, you have to work hard and to just get them to be motivated. Whenever I talk to kids about motivation, I think about Coach Howell, my dad. I'm like, man, this is what these kids need. Some kids, I mean, especially now with COVID last year and everything, a lot of them have anxiety. You'd be amazed at the amount of kids with anxiety and stress. And so being someone there to motivate the kids is very fulfilling in that regard too.
Wow. I'm talking to the coach now. How do you hone in the tree of Clayton and Smith to maybe a non-athletic kid who doesn't have what the passion that you had for throwing, but has some potential?
Well, you don't. You don't. You do something new. So I have a couple of special kids that I'll put on a program, very light version of what we did, because we were in the weight room for like 2.5 hours in college, and we used to call Coach Clayton Coach Claytonovich, the Russian mad scientist. No, because he used to come over these workouts. I'm like, Coach, we've been here for 2 hours. Like, I'm tired. He's like, we still got this. I'm like, come on, man. Let us go home. No. Yeah. So Coach Corey and Worst used to give him, hard time all the time. But No, it's a little bit. You have to adjust to the level of athletes. You have kids who are 0 years of training, and you have kids who are 5 years, 6 years of training. So there's just a variety of kids, and you have to learn when to back off because kids will get injured, and you don't want that for them. So.
Yeah, of course. Can I ask some technical questions because I'm curious to see what you would say. You've made that big transition, and you said Coach Woolman had a big impact on your life, or in that switch after that meeting. You know, your philosophy getting out of the back has definitely changed from how it looked to high school to what it looked like your junior, senior at Auburn. What was a couple of technical changes that you changed from that, you know, that point A to where you got to point B?
Yeah, so from my hips down, it was the same. Upper body was a little different. So I used to start off a little bit like Andy Bloom. My chest was down, shoulders were hunched. But whenever you start off that way, especially facing the back, when you come around to the middle, you have to be level. So your left arm has to be level, your shoulder has to be level. If you're down at any point, and I was a little bit, but I was on balance.
Okay.
Everything was over the left leg. I could stop midway and just bail out of a throw, staying on my left foot. That's how balanced I was out the back.
Oh, wow.
When I got to college, I found that the 16, when I would do that, would take me with it to the middle. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, how can I mitigate that? So I would start a little taller, and I would have it over, as opposed to hinging over, I would be taller, so I can still have the same position at the back. It was just in a little more of an upright way.
Gotcha.
To stop myself from leaning up the back. So that's what I changed.
Gotcha. Was it something also too, because I battled with this with some kids with right leg activity a little bit and right leg entry. Kind of what was your opinion on that? You know, trying to have that long right leg, get it long, and trying to get it in front of you, you know, in the entry.
So I think a lot of what I've seen is a lot of high school kids take. You're talking about high school, right? Or just
high school or even college. Yeah.
So, and I did this too, is very comfortable to bring the leg, just sweep it around. And the leg, if this is your shin, this is your foot, it's like this.
Yeah.
What I teach and what I did and what Woolman and Clayton told me was you want your shin angle to be parallel to the ground at the back. So when you pick that right leg up, you want it to be flat. So your foot's over here and coming out this way. If it's like this, it'll be very easy to bring that right around. If it's not, then there's no stretch on that hip flexor. So that groin hip flexor can't take it to the front or to the middle. But if you have that parallel shin, you can kick out and around and get that hip ahead of you.
And you're talking about the right shin, right?
Yes, the right shin.
Okay.
So like if you look at videos, and I can pull it up from a thrower. So I'll do Sandra or Robert Harding.
Okay.
And these are, the best throwers in the world.
Yeah, of course.
But just so you could see what I mean, and you probably already know what I mean, but so yeah, this slow motion. I think everyone's seen this video of Robert. So when you come around, that shin angle should be there.
Gotcha. Okay.
If that shin angle's there, that's going to put this quad and the hip flexor on stretch, and that's going to bring it around a lot better. If you bring it around where that foot's low to the ground, you're using a lot of your groin. That's cause for one, injury, and two, not as aggressive as a hip to the middle.
Interesting.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Coaches may not agree, but every thrower that I've seen, professional, Reese Hoffa, Nelson, go watch that entry with the right leg. Everything's always flat.
Gotcha.
And I think that's going to be a huge thing. So.
Yeah. What about getting off the left out of the back? Is it a spring, or do you kind of just let it be pulled off?
I tell them to flick off their ankle. So you don't want the left knee to extend to the middle.
Yeah.
The left knee stays bent. You flick off the ankle, and then left knee then comes into that right knee as hard as you can. So it's like your left leg should be a 90-degree angle when it hits the middle.
Cool. So when left leg grounds, what are you thinking on that big finish? And throwing an 11-pound shot put?
Yeah, I would just crush over the left. But I always tell them you want to act like your right leg is a spring, like a coil. Mm-hmm. So when your right foot is the middle, you want to compress that coil, and then you're not going to hit and gather. So it's a stiff hit. You want to compress that coil, and it has to go up through the same line. If it goes up away from that angle, you're going to shift over and throw a bad throw. So you have to kind of hit and go straight up through that coil and throw over.
Interesting.
So there's a couple different ways you can hold the shot. I talked to, before he died, Brian Oldfield.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about this at length. He said, 'cause I used to hold the shot here, my palm facing out. And he said, well, hold the shot, but here with your palm facing up so you can lift through that coil and throw up like a jab. And I did that and threw pretty far.
Really?
Now I don't teach that because I've missed a shot like that and my elbow hurt a lot. But I stopped doing that a little bit. But I still did the same thing where that right has to compress and go straight up through the middle. And Brian Oldfield called it the power zone. That's where power is gathered in the middle to go straight up through the shot.
Interesting. Interesting.
There's like a 1.5 foot, I guess, radius in the middle where the power is exerted up.
Yeah. Now,
you
how
put the
was
shot in there and you'll be good.
Now, what was the philosophy on trying to save the throw? You're getting full rotational finish, arm long over the toe board.
So in that aspect, I always taught athletes you got 3 faces and 2 backs. And I think you heard of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the 3 faces are when you exert force. So you face a throw, that's out of the back, you exert force. The hips going hard, 100 miles an hour. Kind of weight. You got your first back. Your first back is the back of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Then you face, then you exert power. The back again in the middle, you come around, you exert power. Then you kind of come around with that left. So I always say 3 face, 2 backs. And just keep turning your hips all the way through. Once the hips stop moving, then you're going to foul.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to have a throw off to the right side or left-handed to the left side.
Yeah. Do you, and just add, because I know you get some high school kids too, are you a little more maybe glide shot put as well to get a kid really a positive experience and then say, okay, we're going to switch you to rotational?
I have a couple tests that I do. So overhead backs, underhand backs, broad jumps, sprints, and see if they have proprioception, which is moving your body through space. If they have that, I'll try them out with a South African for a couple of weeks to see if they have that ability to turn. Because some kids just don't have it.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to be mean, some kids aren't going to be spinners. And so the ones who aren't going to be spinners, I'll put just a glide to get them moving, or the shuffle, moving through the ring just to see how it feels, then stick with the glide. Now, throwers who are on the verge, who have good balance, I'll have them on the glide for about a week or 2, or even a month. And I'll throw in let's do a glide today. Let's do a spin today. And until that spin or glide overtakes the glide, I won't transition them. I'm never going to have an athlete do all out or nothing.
Gotcha.
So
okay, cool, man. Cool, dude. Man, I would love my kids to have some tutelage under you and be able to you be their high school coach for sure, man.
That's awesome.
So, do you still talk to Coach Larry? You still talk to him?
Yep.
What is he doing nowadays?
So he is just we do those clinics every summer. So we call them All-American Throws Camps. It'll be me, I coach, and we have a couple of coaches from U of H, UTSA. Throwers come down and help do this like 80, 90 kid camp. And so really? it's called the All-American Throws Camp. We do it every summer. And so I go down every summer because 1, it's a great camp, and 2, a lot of Valley kids are there. Yeah. So I like to help the Valley as much as I can. But we got kids from San Antonio, Dallas, Houston come down, and it's a great thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Is there
a
certain time of year y'all do it, like every June or July?
It kind of varies depending on Coach Hal's schedule, but it's every summer. We used to do them in the winter as well, in December. I don't know if we're doing that this year. But yeah, I'll let you know if we do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is there a website or something like we?
No, Coach just kind of sends out mass emails to coaches, and that's how he does it.
Let us know, and we'll get it out on social media for sure.
Yeah.
So, is it just shot and disc, or is it weight?
It's a shot and discus. Now we do invite, if you were in college, you want to come down and kind of do that as well. We do. I'll kind of give some pointers in the hammer. It's not a full session or anything, just kind of what my opinion on the hammer is, but it's mainly shot and discus.
Okay, cool. What's your opinion on Coach Clayton going to LSU?
Yes, I actually text him. I'll read you my text I sent him. Because he what's it called? He went to the LSU Auburn game. And I think we beat LSU. I said, hey, Coach, 1 second. Hey, good job today, even though you're wearing those ugly colors. So I gave him some crap a little bit. No, he'll do well there. I know that in the past, LSU hasn't had a lot of money to recruit, but I think they're going to give him some money so you can get some good throwers in there. So
yeah, for sure. You need to tell him that he needs to take him to Duck Dynasty in Monroe.
I know, yeah. That was literally the best thing. So, this is Duck Dynasty. I'm like, yeah, take a picture in front of the sign.
Yeah. Woo, you're in.
That's awesome. I'm sure he's going to do very well down there. So,
for sure.
Yeah, SEC's pretty tough. So, you're expecting your third kid, right?
Yeah, I'm expecting him in about a month now, and Thanksgiving. So,
you have 2 boys?
So I have a boy who's 4, a girl who's 2, and then a boy coming in November.
Okay.
All right.
So
cool.
I'm looking to start putting the recruiting letters. Hey, this is what's happening. My wife was a thrower in about 16 years.
Yeah.
They saved some money.
For sure, man. That's awesome. So what is your wife doing now? Job was a situation for her?
Yeah. So we moved here in the summer because we started school in August, and she got a job the next month at UTSA as an academic advisor.
Oh, really?
So it was a phenomenal move. Literally the month after she got a job, and it was like bang bang. Now we're financially at peace. We do Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
So we do that, and just to become, no debt and stuff, no debt snowball, and do all that. So make sure that we're pretty smart about our finances.
Good. Does she still involved? Do you say, hey, look at this video, what do you think? Do you?
She can't stand it. No. So she threw 186 in college. She has a Michigan record for discus.
Wow.
Yeah, she's an awesome thrower, and she has other things going on in her life now, and she's just like, I like it still, but I'm not going to go out of my way to go and watch it or anything. So I kind of talked about the thrower sometimes, but she's like, okay, cool, awesome, but that was something else.
She didn't watch Valerie Allman and Ron Krauser in the Olympics.
No, she did watch Valerie, and she's just amazed because we saw Valerie at Texas Relays from a distance, and she's crazy. She's so strong and fit, and when she throws, it's awesome. I'm so happy that we have this.
Now that's the shin being parallel, and that's her going linear.
Yeah.
That's the shin being parallel, long arm, and Zeb has done a hell of a job with her.
Yeah, and I'll say this again: if you're teaching the spin, get that shin parallel, and that's going to make a world of difference, especially with the reflex out of the back. It's so helpful.
Yeah. That's cool. So I have to ask, what did you think of Ron breaking the world's record in the shot put, or indoor and outdoor?
Oh, it's unreal. I told my throwers, some of my throwers would follow it. Yeah. I'm like, I beat him once in college. And they're like, oh, whatever.
Did you really?
I think when he was like a freshman or something. I beat him.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, no, he's an animal. It's so cool to see, especially 23:30 it was, 23:30.
Yeah, 23:38.
And I told the kids, okay, this is how far I threw. Okay, now I took 3 steps further. This is how far the world record is now. It's unreal to think how far that is. I don't think people realize that 23 meters is it's freaky. It doesn't seem real when you see it in real life. It doesn't look. It looks fake. Yeah. And he's done such a phenomenal job. And the thing that makes it impressive too is he does it so easily as far as mental competition wise. He doesn't falter under pressure, and it's so cool to see a USA guy doing that. So we root for him every time he goes. Him and Kovacs. I like the little battle they have.
Yeah.
And so pretty awesome.
It's amazing to see him throw and just consistent with it. 22 meters every time. And even I like the fact that he'll even kind of start with a static. Out of the back and, still be 22, 21 something instead of his full throw.
Well, I don't know where we were, and he threw a 20-meter stand throw. I'm like, doesn't make any sense. My whole body is doing a full spin, and he's throwing a stand throw further than my full body can produce. The guy's special. It's gonna be awesome to see the next couple of years. He's still, I think he's 20, 28, 29, so he still has.
He's fairly young. We hopefully, I think he's got 2 more left in him. So for sure,
at least.
Yeah, and COVID was probably a big help to him to let his body rest and recover, but just get it mentally right with the physical lifting and stuff that he was doing. It's just, so he's going to push it. I would maybe 24 meters. So
that would be almost like they have to do some science behind that. I want to see the science behind because the arm speed and the height of release. I'm a biomechanics guy, so I would like to see the science behind that.
So how is your body? You were saying,
how's that pet?
Throw? Can you lift? Can you throw?
I still lift. After I got done my surgery, I have not gone over 225 bench. So even when I threw my PR, my max was 225 at that time. Okay. My cleans got up to around 200 kilos, which is like 400. No, what is it? Like 4 low in the cleans for hang clean. But that was my best lift. My squats were always around 550 in that range. Gotcha. Nothing special, but my cleans are pretty good. Gotcha. But yeah, no, my body now, I'm starting to feel it. You know, starting to feel it.
You're preaching to the choir.
So you out there doing the demonstrations? Are you catching a cramp? You're like, oh, my knee.
Well, I forget that my groin tore. I never fixed it. So I'll do a technique and I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And my kids are like, you good? Coach, you sit down, coach. I'm like, shut up. Like, you know,
no, I got this.
I got this. I'll still show them up sometimes. I'll throw a low for them when they start getting a little too cocky, just to make sure they know their place. You know.
I got it. That's cool, man. So is your mom and dad still in the Valley?
They're still in the Valley. They're still in Rio.
Awesome, man.
They just retired this past year, so they're traveling now. They're going out to the country. They just got back from Branson, Missouri, so they're just living life now. Having a good
time. Cool. Are you maybe if the UTSA job ever comes open, you maybe are word?
No, I think I'm done with that portion of my life.
Gotcha.
I think I'm going to start another master's this next summer. Okay. I'm going to go for my administration, so I want to be an administrator, like assistant principal in the future. So again, like me, I always want to get better, so I'm going to do another master's degree.
Awesome.
Well, good for you. We need great principals. I'm a teacher and a coach I'm in year 26, and I've never wanted to get into admin, but we need good ones.
And Mansfield ISD, if you've heard about what's going on in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So yeah.
I love my job. I'm at a middle school, and I've been in middle school now for about 12 years. I did the high school thing, the varsity thing. And for whatever reason, I love the weirdness of middle school kids. Now this year they're off the chain, but they are, but I still love them most days.
We just did PSAT testing, and I had freshmen in my class, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a little different animal.
Yeah. And now a freshman acts like what a 7th grader would have acted like if you I'm like, let's come on. Let's overcome this COVID immaturity and let's get back up and learn how to be social.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
For sure, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on. It was an honor. I apologize for not having you on sooner.
No, it's fine.
But, dude, you're a legend in throwing, especially in the state of Texas in the high school, coming from the Valley, man. So be proud of what you accomplished in your high school career, and even, representing Mexico and what you did at Auburn as well. So.
Hopefully we'll see you maybe someday at Texas Relays or state track meet. We go and watch, get some kids there. So
we have some high level kids that are, being recruited pretty well right now. So we'll be down at Texas Relays. I don't know if y'all kids might come do indoor at A&M or some of those meets in Houston, but we'll be down there for those as well. So
we have a couple sprinters who are pretty good. They'll probably be down there. Throwers not yet. I won't send them to those meets yet, but the further we get along with throwing, hopefully we'll get to those bigger levels.
Do you have any access to your junior high coaches and stuff like that for throwing and stuff?
I haven't talked to them in years, but I'm sure I could find them.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering.
Oh, no, not the ones that coach you, your feeder pattern.
Yeah.
So last year we couldn't do it because of COVID. This year we're going to start doing clinics with them and just making sure that they're doing the same things or things that we want coming into high school. And we have some pretty good programs for our middle schools, like Bush and Lopez. So
good. Oh, that's awesome. Now we just had and this is something you can share with them. You know the rules, but we just about 2 or 3 weeks ago interviewed United States Track and Field master officials, and 2 of them that's done the NCAA's, Texas Relays, the whole laser technology and all that type of stuff, and it was a really good education for the do's and don'ts of how to do the throws and what not to do and how to run a meet and all that type of stuff. So, it was actually, so it's really good. We've got a lot of positive feedback with that, so wearing the hats and the jewelries and how to take the wrist and not taking the fingers and
all the difference between AAU, USATF, high school,
IAAA, the rules,
all that.
Not
all the same.
Yeah.
Nope. A little different.
Yeah. So all right, buddy. Well, we'll let you get back to your family, man. God bless you. Thank your wife. We'll see you down the road, man. Stay in touch. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Wow. What a great story and just an unbelievable experience of talking with Steven Saenz. Just coming from the Valley and having a coach that really had an early impact in his life, and with positive affirmations to believe that he could throw far, and and Steven with the will and athletic ability to foresee that and do it. Just an unbelievable experience. And just just Mexico and the whole, do I really want to do this? And, do I want to represent my country? And just taking a chance and just turning out to be a big success. It just goes to show you shouldn't, sometimes getting out of your comfort zone and being uncomfortable with stuff is really a positive, because you do have growth from it.
Yeah, I know the kids that he coaches at their Reagan in San Antonio. What a treat they have, because all the stories from trusting. He talked about how much he trusted his coaches, so he's trying to instill that in his kids, even if they tell you, hey, you got to weigh 252 pounds. Whether that was true or not, but it worked. Whenever they tell you to trust him, and then all the adversity that he overcome, all the injuries, all the, just not suck it up. But you only cry once. I mean. And if you cry, like you said with that, you only cry once. What do you say? If you go in already negative and knowing you're going to be beat, then you are. So
yeah,
you got to change your mindset, and just lots of great nuggets of wisdom and great technical stuff.
Yeah,
I foresee seeing some throwers from his school in the future.
Yeah,
once he gets that.
And how fortunate is throwing in the state of Texas to have a coach come in with his pedigree to do it. We've had Matt on from maybe season 1. Matt Spears, and Matt was a great thrower in college, and he's giving back. But now we have someone like Steven who's going to be doing the same thing in the San Antonio area. It's just good for the sport of throwing, for high school track and field in the state of Texas, to really get the opportunity out there for those kids that might not be a football player or the best 5-star volleyball player or anything like that. So great experience. We appreciate him being on. Man, we'll see you down the road. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's give another quick shout out to all of our wonderful sponsors. Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go check out ttfca.org. Like Jason talked at the beginning, indoor meets, recruits. They've got the winter clinic coming up. Always a great place when you're looking for any information about track and field in the state of Texas. Fourthrows.com. Go check them out. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. You can get you some Fiber Sport Discus on there. So go look at those. Porta Circle. Again, it's starting to get chilly around here, and cold, and a lot colder in places than what we're ever going to get. But you can get your Porta Circle so you can throw inside. I'm a little too hot in the background.
That was not Tupac.
What was that?
It was 50 Cent.
We're going to go. Oh, I know. What was this? Let's share.
Sorry.
I have to delete all that out. And then if you're in the Austin area, Ready Up Athletic Development, Ready Up AD, check them out on Instagram. They post some of the greatest things that Zach's got those guys doing. And then
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas
And then
Style.
don't forget to go check out our website, throwingfactory.com, if you're looking to start getting some lessons. As we're getting closer to track season, indoor season's not too far from now, so reach out to us.
And then also our shopping apparel.
Yep.
You know, go buy a cool podcast t-shirt. We have cool hammer shirts. For the winter track season, we're going to have our winter track suits available as well.
Yeah, so check them out and get you some cool apparel.
And then Lifting DFW, Human Performance. Lifting DFW is a mobile fitness station that can help you perform various roles and tasks, whether you're a 5-star athlete, a stay-at-home mom, a middle-aged father, or youth that loves sports. Lifting DFW can take whatever you need, put in the aspect of human performance, and make you better for it. So go to dfwlifting.com to get more information on that, or contact me at thethornfactory.com.
Awesome. And go like us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast. We've got lots of people listening and watching on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yes. Thank y'all.
All we got. Thank y'all. Have a good one.